Good evening and welcome along to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. It's Friday night. That's the end of the international break. It's the end of our self-inflicted break as well. We just did a couple of weeks off because, well, it was difficult to talk about, so why not? But along to talk Celtic tonight with me and a couple of other stuff is the captain of the ship, as Anthony calls you. Stephen, how you doing, mate?
Funny you mentioned Anthony and his phone is still frozen. No one can get a hold of him. The big fella's just disappeared off the face of the earth. But yeah, see, to be fair, like you said about us taking a break, we did. But the Double Pivot podcast, you could break that up into 3 separate podcasts. So that was 3 hours long. Fantastic effort by Ross and Gav. You were on with me as well, weren't you? It was a good podcast to be a part of.
It was well good, and the teaser as well. I loved that teaser. It was the name 16 scorers of English teams that have played in the Champions League final. I thought that was a belter, and me and Franny managed to get it at the end. Really good. Brilliant.
Oh, Franny, you were on it too, weren't you?
You contributed to that much of that question.
He was a substitute.
I don't think you got one answer. I was a substitute. I was a substitute.
Fuck you, Gav.
I think James had actually said he was going to be on that. To be honest, I never noticed James had said he'd be on, but Stephen bumped him off.
Well, captain has to make hard calls, you know what I mean? But I'm looking forward to tonight.
This is true. And one of the other folk that were on the double pivot last week, Gavin, how are you?
Good, mate. It's been a difficult week. Work-wise, just like pure difficult. And I'm glad it's Friday. It's been obviously getting Baltic. And then our fire packed in, so we had to get an engineer today to repair it. But he gave it a clean, and it just looks perfect now, and it's just, I don't know why I'm talking about fireplaces right now, but it's so much cheaper.
Why are you on the podcast? I'd be sitting right in front of that on a night like this.
Rather than heating up the entire house, just the fireplace on in the living room. Aye, it's the business, man. I like it. Fucking
Gav, can I ask you a question? Did you get a couple of new kits, retro ones during the week? I think I seen it on Twitter. It might have been you, might not have been you, but it was Bulgaria '94, was it?
Aye, so I had the Bulgaria
they were nice.
Away shirt. I've had that for 2 years, and I managed to get the home shirt. Also got that Man U one over my shoulder. I got a Liverpool one as well. Basically, I put on a £5 bet, and I got over £400 back. And
I hope the missus doesn't watch this.
I think she's off to bed tonight, okay? So I don't think she'll be watching it.
That's the golden rule. I mean, gamble responsibly, but that's the golden rule. They never know how much you win.
What was the bet?
It was like
Michael
volleyball or something?
7 football teams, and I think I bet about 3 of them for away wins. And it was funny because it was during a Celtic game at Parkhead at 3 o'clock. So like the Wi-Fi is terrible. You can't find out how your bet's going until you're walking back home and you check your phone. You're like, oh my god, that's pretty good. It's like the biggest bet I've ever won. But anyway, I got a number of football shirts. I got Bulgaria, Man U, Liverpool, and maybe 2 more. I forget now. But I very happy just adding to that collection. Yeah.
Good man. And just a welcome along to everybody in the comments so far. We've got Plunge, Paul McFarlane, Uncle Kevin, Stephen Murdoch. We've got Christoph. Now, I've been sent a wee picture from Uncle Kevin and Christoph. I'll just share it. And Christoph, apologies, and Uncle Kevin, because my Uncle Kevin speaks very good French. If I butcher this pronunciation, where he is. So this is Christoph, who you see in the comments. He's been on other Celtic podcasts. And I believe it is in, wait, did I find the message? It's in Le Boule d'Or in La Château. It means the golden ball. Such a random name for a pub. But there is our Christoph. My uncle asked me just to share that, so I just thought I would. And let's see if I can get back.
Can I ask you a random one? What's your favourite type of boozer? Like, say when you're on like a night out, do you like an old man's pub where it's like that cheap booze, karaoke's on, and it's just like there's no airs or graces, you get a laugh, good banter in the place? Or do you like somewhere a wee bit more kind of upmarket, but the prices are more expensive?
Oh no,
and you get your IPA beers and all that shit. What type of pub do you?
I think I've gone for the first one there, Gav. I mean, I like a bit of music, a bit of entertainment and stuff, but I'm not one of these guys that are into your IPAs and all that carry on and stuff. Just
yeah,
your normal
I
stuff.
agree.
Aye, that's where the atmosphere is for me. I prefer that. Right?
Aye. I mean, there used to be
Stick
a pub
me in a
just around
pub.
the corner for me that it
Stick
didn't
me in
really
a pub
matter
with a
what night
man
you
with a
walked in.
guitar.
Aye, that'll do me. Aye, man and a guitar, that'll do me. But look, there's Jed, Gav saying less of the old man shit. I mean, Jed, we're on that category now, I think.
I have to say,
apart from Stephen, he's still a young pup.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. What I want to say, right? One of the best nights I've actually ever had was in Willie's Grace's pub. It was incredible. He was playing the guitar, a few other people playing the guitar. We were singing along. But it was a fantastic day and night, and like it's just the atmosphere. And I think it's a lot to do with who you're with as well, the company you keep, and how your night goes. And that was just a fantastic evening. Thoroughly enjoyed that. But give me a man, a guitar, and a pub, and a couple of pints, and I'm happy enough.
Yeah.
Aye.
Or woman with guitar.
I can't remember if you answered that. Which for you? You doing that route as well?
Yeah, definitely the former. Aye. Atmosphere. Aye. A wee bit of talent, you know.
Aye, not wrong with a bit of window shopping.
Aye, live music, you know, and good banter. Aye, that's it.
A wee bit of talent. What the fuck's going on?
Stevie, there's nothing wrong with a bit of window shopping.
I don't do anything of the sort, Franny. You know that. I don't window shop.
It's no, well, for you as a single man, it's not window shopping, mate. It's not window shopping. It's window shopping for me and Gavin.
It's hunting for Stephen.
It's hunting. Yeah, exactly. That's so bad.
He's the worst hunter in the world.
Here, hold on a wee second. Hold on a wee second. Podcast. If it took me opportunities, I'd be a top hunter. But I like to, just see what's out there. I suppose, isn't it? I don't know.
You like to read the room, Stephen. You like to invite the only lass in the world with a bunch of guys, and she turns up, and you don't think she's not. Do you think she's not interested in you? Okay then. Some hunter.
Move on.
Worst hunter in the.
Move on.
Be the worst hunter in the jungle. That's what I'm saying.
Drink your flashlight.
We shall move on. Because this is going to no man of the routes. So if we talk about boozers, Stephen's hunting skills, me and Gavin window shopping in pubs. It's taking many routes apart for Celtic here. And I've tried to talk French as well. But anyway, we'll come to yourself, Gav. Just kind of recap on the international break, but I'm conscious of the fact that I'm on with Stephen, who hates international football, and I don't think you're a massive fan of it either. But we'll just kind of focus on players, anyone that kind of you really want to, that maybe played, and how you think it might help their confidence. I mean, I was thinking guys like obviously Kyogo, Ralston played really, really well. The two Scotland games. Kyogo, I think he featured in the Japanese games, which might give him a wee bit of confidence that he's in an international fold now. I think Hatate got minutes as well. Arne Engels started, and I think he played a lot of minutes in both games, which again might just give him a bit of confidence. But how was the international break for you in terms of Celtic players and how that might move forward with them?
It was nice that Kyogo got some minutes. I saw someone post online that the three Japanese players, flew to the other side of the world only to play at a small number of minutes. And I get that, but they're Japanese, so they're obviously going to be playing over at that side of the world. For the fact that Kyogo kind of get back into the fold to a small extent, that's nice. I kind of feel sorry for the guy because he's, by and large, contributed the biggest. I don't know, I'm phrasing it poorly, but he's had the biggest contribution out of all the Japanese players over the course of his time at Celtic, and he's the one who doesn't appear to be appreciated by Moriyasu, I think the Japanese coach. So if he's getting minutes, then that's a bit of a reward for Kyogo. I hope it works out. I'm not sure it will, but that's nice. Engels, I think you're probably seeing a changing of the guard with Belgium. The golden generation, the so-called golden generation, are leaving, retiring, getting older, and you've got new blood filling their boots. So Engels it's really good to think that he's, a big time player for us. The 11 million signing, we've got high hopes for him. It's great that he's actually getting international recognition. I think that would have been one of the things he probably spoke to his international boss about. If I move to Scotland, will I get caps? I think that move probably would have hinged on that. And it's good to see that he's getting game time. I think he got a lot of media plaudits and from the Belgian reporters for one of the games that he played. So, and again, let's not forget that for a man of his age, you're going to have good games, you're going to have bad games. That inconsistency is just the nature of the beast at that age. But it's good. He's going to get more experience, exposure. Brilliant for us, brilliant for him. And Ralston, I just felt bad for Ralston because I think in the international tournament at the Euros, he was a bit of a fall guy. And the fact that Steve Clarke has persisted with him, probably just due to injuries, but the fact that he's not let the side down, from what I gather, that's good for him. I just don't want him to fail. I don't want him to be, the scapegoat for the nation. But I'm glad for him, and I think he's got a tough mentality anyway. So I want him to do well, despite his limitations.
Nah, I totally agree. And it's like I say, it's good if Celtic players are getting recognition, Stephen, at that level. Like Gavin said, your Engels, obviously young prospect. It might entice other young prospects to come to the club in the future that they know it's not necessarily going to hamper their international career. But how was the international break for you? Like I say, guys like your Ralstons, your Engels, it can just only give them not renewed confidence, but can help build their confidence as well. Especially Engels, who I think, not off every Celtic fan, I think certainly in this podcast, and I mean, we've been fairly level-headed when it comes to Engels. The fact that, like Gavin said there, he's a young boy. He's got to have good games. He's got to have okay games, and he'll chuck in an odd poor game. And I think, unfortunately for him, some fans just look at the price tag and think it's just he's got to be a standout every game, and it's just not going to happen. But what did you think of some of the international boys, and do you think that will give them confidence to move in up to the turn of the year anyway?
I think in the case of Arnie Engels, the more exposure he gets at that top international level with Belgium and the players around him only bodes well for us as a team. Do you know what I mean? He's mixing it with Kevin De Bruyne, people of that ilk, and he's coming back and passing on the traits that he's getting from international camps. So it's fantastic that he's getting an opportunity. Funny enough, Dedrick Boyata got international caps with Belgium while he was at Celtic. So maybe it's not a massive achievement, but it's still good that he's getting
out of this. I liked him.
Right. So did I. But that's what I'm saying.
A bad thing.
What I'm trying to say is, so did I. But what I'm trying to say is, people are kind of holding this three international caps now up in high esteem, like it's an amazing accomplishment. But Dedrick Boyata achieved the same thing, respectively, with Celtic. But I think Arnie Engels, he's a young player. He's up and coming, and his form's always going to be inconsistent. And like Gav pointed out, I think he got good plaudits for he played against Italy in the first game, but he didn't get good plaudits against Israel. I think that the team in general didn't, and they're looking to move that manager on, which is quite interesting because Clementine might be the front runner for that job. So that's one to keep an eye on. I think the only player that I have concerns with, concerns may be a strong word, but its confidence may be hampered, would be Liam Scales. Obviously getting that sending off, and then Ireland totally capitulating after that happened. 3 goals within 10 minutes against England. But to be honest, before that, he was the glue that held the Ireland defence together. So hopefully he takes confidence from that instead of focusing on the negative and the sending off. You look at Louis Palma, scored 2 goals against Mexico for Honduras. Their coach got pelted, by the way. It was actually sickening, with a full beer can, and he was split open from the head and all. I don't like seeing that on a football pitch. And look, again, that bodes well for Louis Palma. Hopefully he starts to gain confidence and more belief in himself. There's a lot of, I don't know if it's rumours, if he's confirmed that he suffered a personal loss within his family or close friendship group during the close season. Maybe that's affecting him mentally. And look, I know I kind of bash him a lot, but I do hope that he comes on to a game again. His numbers were quite impressive, but he needs to improve in a lot of factors like defending, running, and energy and pace. And it's hard to teach pace, if you know what I mean. But yeah, like the Japanese trio, as we spoke about, I think for me, can you go down the route of Rodgers saying, can we guarantee minutes for these guys? Because I do find it a pointless exercise that they're going over for maybe 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the game. I know their manager has a weird disliking to Kyogo, even though he's the best striker they have by a country mile. Rio Tate barely gets used. And Monty, there we go then.
I'm
so
that's talking about Palmer there.
Palmer, yeah. So that could be a major factor there. But yeah, with the Japanese players, I would like to guarantee them game time or guarantee them something, because I think it's a wasted exercise for them to go out there and then you have the exertion of travelling back and you're playing on the weekend. So it's a lot of recovery time. And we've seen Daizen Maeda do that before. He's come back from a trip and he just looks wasted for the first game he's back, and then it takes him a wee while to reach the levels we know he's capable of. So that's one thing I'd be looking to do, but you can't control what the Japanese national manager does. That's his own prerogative. But Sinisalo got called up for Finland. I don't know if he played the game. But yeah, I mean, a lot of our team are in international teams. And I think what Gav said, Ralston, he's still getting the games for Scotland, which is a good thing. Keeps him match fit for us if we ever need him. But nothing more, nothing less for me than with Tony Ralston. He's just dependable when you have him. He's nothing flashy. But yeah, do I like international football, particularly during the season? Absolutely not. I think it's pointless. I think they should just do this in the summer. But then you've got fixture contesting, and then that opens up another can of worms. But yeah, I'm glad it's over. I'm glad we can focus on Celtic again, and there's some tasty. I think we're on every 3 days coming up to Christmas, so that's something to look forward to.
It's a busy schedule. I think the squad will be getting used a lot, Stephen. But speaking of the squad, we got some, I would say, good news today. I'll just come straight back to Stephen regarding another right back in Alistair Johnston, penned a deal to 2029. So obviously a lot will be down that to his form in the last sort of 12 months, and certainly since he's came in, I thought he's been very dependable. He has had dips in form and stuff, but I think in the main he's been really good, and he's had a great start to this season. Very much one of our better performers so far. I know Ross mentioned that it doesn't secure his safety, it protects an asset, and Brendan Rodgers alluded to that in his press conference, that it didn't say it in these words, but essentially it doesn't mean anything. It just means the Celtic can get more money. But coming back off the international break, it's good news at the end of the day, isn't it, Steve?
Of course it's good news. Alistair Johnston has been fantastic, and I think, funny enough, he earned his 50th international cap for Canada at 25 years old, which is mind-blowing. He could easily reach 100 if he keeps this kind of trajectory going. But I think what Ross is right, and contracts are great, but let's be honest, you're protecting a value there, you're protecting a possible future sale on in terms of a transfer fee, maximising what you can get. But again, on the other hand, I think AJ is different. I don't think he would push for a move necessarily. I think he's happy where he is. He's came from the MLS. He's bedded in really well. We thought we would miss Josip Branovic. We haven't really missed him. Do you know what I mean? And you look at AJ coming in. I think it might have been yourself, or I can't remember who, so forgive me. But someone in the group chat mentioned he might stay like Lustig did for many years. So look, there's always that possibility. Within that, Monty, I never wanted to see the name Johnson on the back of a Celtic shirt, but always graces the hoops. 100%. Couldn't agree more. And I just think
Johnson was a good player for us. He done all right.
And I just think as well, 100% Jenky, but I just think as well. No, I know it's a cliche, but oh, right, okay. I know it's a cliche, but you hear that he gets it. You know, he understands it, and he does. And I think a big part of him is just fell in love with the club. He embraces, I think, everything you want to see as a player. His enthusiasm. He's up and down that line, that right hand side for 90 minutes plus. He's an absolute machine. He's a Rolls Royce. He's contributed with goals this season, and to tie him down with 2029. What's that? I'm not even counting. I think it's 4 or 5 years more, but it's in 5 years more, whatever it may be. It's an incredible bit of business by the club. Good bit of commitment by AJ, but always that middle line. We're protecting an asset first and foremost within that. Of course he does. I mean, to be fair, he does podcast the last 5 years.
Before I come to you, Gavin, about Alistair Johnston's new 5-year deal, Paul McFarlane is that saying you deserve another 5-year deal, but that's one to take up with Stephen. He's a money man here, so you better get in his ear to see if he can come up with some acceptable terms. But what do you make of the whole Alistair Johnston deal?
I think it's a no-brainer. I think what you and Stephen have said about protecting your asset, largely that's what it comes down to. But I'm also a big believer in rewarding the performers in the squad. If a player comes in on if you want to call it a moderate wage, in proportion to a footballer, and they impress, and they do better than what you expect them to do, then I think it's justifiable to reward them financially with an improved contract. I think that's how you keep that's one way to motivate a player, is like money. Another one is like time off, whenever you can afford to give them days off and stuff like that. But an improved wage bracket, to put him in one of the higher earners, I think that's earned. He's the guy runs his socks off. He leaves everything on the park, and he's just taken to it so well. I think sometimes we can be a wee bit suspicious of footballers who come from Central America, North America, maybe because of the lingo for one thing, which is just different from our culture here. But I think he's really settled in well. I think he's got a great attitude. He's just got a winner's mentality, and obviously you need that for the unique situation of being a Celtic player where you have to win every game. He's adapted so well, and he's one of the leaders on and off the park. I've heard that he's very, very vocal in the dressing room, and I listened to Brendan's conference today, which I know that we'll get into later on, but he also spoke of Alistair Johnston's the way that he talks like a coach. I wonder if maybe that could be a future calling for him as well after he retires as a professional. But all in all, he's totally enhanced the Celtic team after Juranovic left, and it's thoroughly deserved to give him an improved contract. Yeah.
And I totally agree with everything you've said. I think it does, and it shows. I think it's also encouraging to other players and things like that. If they do well, there will be scope there to get a better contract at the end of the day. Like we said, the timescale, the length of the contract essentially doesn't mean much in terms of keeping the player less longer, but at least if they get some financial gain, it might just at least keep us for another year. Sorry, Stephen, you've got to say something there.
Yeah, I didn't want to cut you up because I know I've kind of butted in a few times, but
I don't know.
I find it quite interesting. Well, actually, I find it interesting where this leaves the Greg Taylor situation. I mean, we've sorted the right hand side out, so why has there been a lack of movement or a lack of urgency to get the left back sorted out?
Can you just come to that? We'll talk about Brendan, because that was we'll just kind of skip a few things and talk about Brendan Rodgers' press conference, Stephen, and I'll come straight back to you, because that was one of the things I picked up in it the day. They obviously was talking about Alistair Johnston. I don't know if you've seen the press conference or that, but they were talking about Alistair Johnston's contract, and they did bring up the left back, and Brendan Rodgers said they're no further forward. He said he wants to keep him. He said he wants to keep him as a player. He wants to keep him there, but there are no further forward with the deal. So does that mean maybe he's for the off, or is there rumours, is there truth in the Kieran Tierney stuff? Just where are you with Greg Taylor?
I mean, what that tells me that the decision is entirely in his court. It seems like the club have made an offer. It's just in limbo at the moment. I don't know if they're going to go back with an improved kind of contract term, but I just find it interesting how quickly AJ was wrapped up in the new contract. There was talks of this a few weeks back, and it's been a kind of quick process. The Greg Taylor wants a slower burner, and it's been a bit non-committal on both sides. Obviously, Rodgers is going to tell you he wants to keep him. He's not going to come out in the press conference and say, "No, he's shite. I want him to go." And then Greg Taylor's been kind of tentatively saying that. I think it was August time. He said we're going to be talking representatives and things of that nature. But there's been a lot of rumours saying that he wants to leave, go to the MLS, try a different country and things like that. And look, that's fair enough, but I would like it to be announced sooner rather than later, because there's a lot of planning needed, because at this moment in time, if that is the case, then with no left backs, because Alex Vai's due to go back to Barcelona, his loan will come to an end. And San Fran, I kind of agree with that as well. I mean, if there was a relentless side of Brendan that wanted to tie him down, then he would keep him back, but it just seems non-committal. And it's just it's a process I don't want to take until whatever April, May to sort out, and then we're left kind of scratching our arse trying to find a new left back to start the season. Just get it done quickly. And look, we all some of us love Greg Taylor more than others, but he's been really dependable. I think his games come on, and the inverted fullback role really rejuvenated his career when Anne's come in, because as a normal fullback, I don't think he's good enough. But time will tell. Time will definitely tell in this one, and at the end of the day, that decision has been left entirely up to him, from what I can take from Rodgers anyway. And it's just an interesting one. The Kieran Tierney thing, again, not to go back over old ground, but I wouldn't take him back. I love Kieran Tierney, but he's too much of a risk. Far too much of a risk. He gets...
Jed said that as well. He's too injury prone. But can I just kind of highlight, I know, just like you kind of finish your point, Stephen, but it's more just for a debate's point. Could you argue Cameron Carter-Vickers in the last sort of few years has been injury prone, but we're not talking about getting rid of him and not having him in the team. But if he's fit, we're at his first team, he's one of the first names on the team sheet, but could you argue he's injury prone?
You could argue that today.
Get rid of CCV, but a lot of folk are saying we wouldn't take KT because of his injury record.
I mean, you could argue that to a certain extent, but Carter Vickers is more available than Kieran Tierney is in a full season at this moment in time. Tierney's missed
a large... If you look at CCV since he came into us, his games have dropped. It's not just 1 or 2 games less he's played. I think it's quite a few less. I
think there's times he's been out, 68 weeks. The Champions League campaign, remember, I think it was the first time around, and then the second time around he got injured as well. So there's definitely issues with his fitness, but the KT ones, for me, like for the wages he'd be looking for and the length of contract you have to take into account, because I don't think Monty, I can see what you said. I don't think that that he would accept like a pay as you play type deal. He wouldn't do that in my opinion, and I don't think it's fair to do that to him. But look, Kieran Tierney is just for me another thing that's sentimentality, emotional decisions, and we all loved him. Of course we did, but Celtic played a big part in his downfall as well, and his injury record. We overused him. Do you know what I mean? From a really young age up until he left, he was playing consistently. He actually went to the Arsenal with that hip problem.
We'll see another one. Messi, go ahead. I know Lamal's at an earlier stage in his career, but Lamal's must have played tons of football at 16-year-old. Messi played a lot of football at 17. Wayne Rooney played a lot of football early doors. Guys have played football at that age before and had... Well, Messi, look at his career.
No, again,
playing at that age hasn't impacted his career. He's still playing. I'm not saying he's playing at top level, but he's still playing. Won the World Cup. Well, to be fair, he won the World Cup at 36-year-old.
But could you not argue as well, like the Spanish league in terms of physicality isn't like Scotland in terms of the rough and nature of it, the relentless running.
Messi's playing with Barcelona, who were really successful. He's played with Argentina, and he's obviously done a lot of travelling. I think to say that Celtic are to blame for his downfalls a bit.
No, a part of it. It's a part of it.
But I don't think you can claim it's a part of it with playing him so much football at 17-year-old. When through history, there's tons of players that's played at top level for, well, Ronaldo. Even Ronaldo played at football like they're still playing 20 years on. I think I don't know if it really stacks up, that argument.
Well, if you look at it this right, and I actually remember Roger speaking about this as well, and Lenny to a certain extent. We never really, when Kieran Tierney got injured, we never really let him finish his recovery, his rehab. He was always thrown back in. He was always chucked back in. Do you know what I mean? So his recovery time is the length of period he should have been out, and that might have been a lot to do with enthusiasm and him wanting to play for his boyhood club. And you can't really fight against that. But there's a lot of factors here, and it's just unfortunate. I mean, he went to, was it Real Sociedad last season? By all accounts, he started the season really well, but then he got injured again. He played 9 or 10 games, and he's been out ever since. So for me, it's a risk we can't afford to take, and it's unfortunate because you'd love to be in a world where you could bring Kieran Tierney in and have that luxury to bring him back up to full fitness, drop him in here and there, but we can't do that. We're not in that world at the moment. We need a first choice left back who's going to play week in, week out. That's the situation we find ourselves in, especially if Greg Taylor doesn't sign on the dotted line for the new contract.
No, you make a lot of good points. So, can you come to you, Gavin? You can talk about Kieran Tierney as well, because I like how that went. The fact that we're talking about Greg Taylor's contract and we finished talking about whether we would take Kieran Tierney or not. But I think just to kind of quickly say, like, I would take Kieran Tierney in a heartbeat because I know, like, yes, he is injury prone, but that level of left back, we're not realistically, I don't think, getting that level of left back. If we go and shop elsewhere, I don't believe we'll sign a left back as good as that. They may get a potential that will turn into that, but I appreciate that Kieran Tierney will not play week in, week out, Gavin, but in an ideal world for me, I would hope that Greg Taylor signs a new deal, but Greg Taylor's maybe not want to play second fiddle if he knows a Kieran Tierney's coming, but I believe if you bring a Kieran Tierney in, Greg Taylor will still get a lot of football. I don't know where you are with that.
To be honest, I don't have much interest in the whole Kieran Tierney question, but just for what it's worth, no, I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't make that investment in Kieran Tierney. I think it'd be unfair on the left back who's going to play the most games. It's like, you're going to be our main left back. You're going to play the most games. You're going to, by and large, play in the meaningful games as well. However, whenever this guy in the background is fit, he's going to come in and take your place, because that's the hierarchy. This guy's going to take your place. He's going to play some games, and then he's going to get injured, go back on the bench, and the fans are going to love him regardless, and he's going to be on a higher wage than you. It's undermining, and I don't think it makes financial sense. You buy a left back based on his ability, his attitude, and his fucking injury record, man. We're not here for sentimentality reasons. Don't want Kieran Tierney in the building to play 25% of the games. No, it's not for me. Everybody's got their own opinion. That's just me. But to go back to the Greg Taylor thing, I was actually listening to the press conference, and there was a couple of snippets that I took. I actually noted it down because I think it's quite an interesting situation, which is getting closer and closer to the end of the season, and we don't know how we're going to address this left back situation. I think we're kicking the can down the road. But he said that he doesn't think that there's anything close in terms of an agreement between Greg Taylor and the club. He said it's something that he really wants to do in terms of like making a contract renewal, but he has to respect both sides on that, and he means Celtic, the club, and Greg Taylor. I don't know if it was San Fran Celtic who said that if Brendan really wants him, then the contract would have been made, it would have been agreed. I get where you're coming from with that, but I don't know exactly how it works. I think with back in the day, that's how football would have worked. Like the manager said, right, this is what you're getting, like it or lump it. But I think with modern day football, the manager will say to the financial director, I want this guy. And Michael Nicholson, who's probably the guy in charge of the contracts, and that will be his remit, his department, to say, you're an asset, this is what we're willing to give you. So I think that it's a Mexican standoff. Celtic are prepared to offer X amount, but Greg Taylor is looking at it and saying, well, I'm one of the senior players. I've won you trebles. I am a leader on and off the park. Probably the deputy captain whenever Callum McGregor's not playing. I want to be earning a wage to kind of fit my rank within the club. And he probably knows that he's coming up for about 27 or whatever. He knows that the next contract he's going to make is going to be a massive deciding factor. And, you know, it's just that's the pivotal contract that you sign at that age as a footballer. So I understand that he might be holding out for bigger money, and he might have to go down to the Championship to earn that. But the other kind of snippets was Brendan Rodgers saying that his skill set suits how we play. Off the pitch, he's a real pillar of the group, and we want to keep those players if they want to stay. Mm-hmm. So I think, for me, the way things are going, I think he will leave, but I'll be a wee bit gutted. I would certainly like to upgrade upon him, but I would like to keep him in the building, just like Brendan Rodgers would. So I think he's on his way out, which is, if that is the case, then we really need to get serious about buying a proper, reliable left back. We've been too nonchalant, irresponsible about it for so long, buying £2 or £3 million players, Bolingoli, Greg Taylor, and we'll let them.
Bernabei.
Yeah. So. Aye, fucking Bernabei. Aye, that's another thing. He spoke about Bernabei. If you want to come to that, I've got my own thoughts on that as well. But
we'll just kind of talk about. But what I'll say, I do agree a lot with what you say with Taylor, and I think he is obviously a senior figure within the team, and maybe he is looking at the noise. He'll not be daft. His agent will be in his ear as well, and maybe he knows that Celtic are looking at a Kieran Tierney, at that type of player where Greg Taylor might be playing second fiddle on it. 27-year-old, he's probably like, well, that's not really where I want to see my career at 27, considering how well he's actually played at Celtic. And Rodgers, I'd say, is a key figure. And I think it's interesting, the comments, because Rodgers did also say, Gavin, like you'd have heard, is he plays that, he likes to play one inverted fullback and it lets the other one kind of sort of bomb on. And Greg Taylor's pivotal to that because he plays that role so well. So it's got to be hard to replace that. There's no many like sort of wing backs that play the inverted role that well. So it's one that I would like to get done. But
can I ask you, Franny? Can I ask you, please? What would you say, like, if you were the finance director? What wages would you offer Greg Taylor? What do you think he's befitting of? And if you can't get a deal struck, what do you think his value is for selling him on?
Well, I suppose his value has got to be zero, Garvey, because it's running down his contract. But I think it should easily be between the 15 and 20. I think we need to get realistic here and be serious about trying to reward guys and keep guys. Like, it might be on. We're guessing what he's on, but I would assume he's on something like around about the 10 mark now. But I think Celtic need to get realistic and get a wee bit in the future and maybe even double their wages, even if he's not guaranteed a game every week. But he's a good squad, a more than capable squad player. So I think for what he's done for the club and what he could potentially still give the club, I think 15, 20 grand is more than fair for Greg Taylor. I don't know if you've got thoughts on that yourself, Gavin, just be asking that question.
I don't have a strong opinion on it. I just think that he could command 30 down south at his age.
Oh, he could command decent money down south.
The character that he's got, yeah, I think he could command 30 down south. And if we're not willing to go, I think Callum McGregor's probably earning north of 30, between 30 and 40. So if we're not, if that's where he sees himself, like roughly about the 30 mark, yeah, I think that's maybe a big wage. I think that's a big wage for Celtic to offer. I'm sure Ross, if he was on tonight, he'd probably have his own opinions. He's a big defender of Greg Taylor, and you know that's what you need. You know, you want a diversity of opinions. Stephen, where do you? Sorry, I'm not trying to hijack this, but wage-wise, what do you think Greg Taylor should be deserving of?
Fuck, I think Greg Taylor should be grateful to be at Celtic Football Club from where we picked him up. To be honest, at Kilmarnock, I'm guessing he'd probably be on the between £10,000 and £15,000 at this precise moment in time. I don't think he's worth any more than that between that bracket. It's like, again, it's not to downplay what he's done for the club. He's been a mainstay. He's excelled in the inverted fullback position. But at the end of the day, for me, your value is your value. Your wage at you. I mean, is he as important to us as a Callum McGregor, as an AJ, as a Kyogo?
That's unfair.
But I know it's all about opinions, Franny. That's fair enough. But I don't think he is. I think if Greg Taylor left, and we should be able to replace him quite easily, in my opinion, with the right scouting and the right protocols in place. And you mentioned, Franny, that a lot of fullbacks don't play that inverted position. We don't know that. We're not scouts. We're not talent experts or talent.
As much as I would have Kieran Tierney back, I think that's what's killed him at Arsenal. He can't play that role.
What? Again, there you go. But that's just one player out of thousands and thousands of fullbacks. And I respect Greg Taylor. I like what he's done on the Celtic top or Celtic shirt. But I mean, 20 to 25 grand. Not a hope. Not a hope. I don't understand that. But Gav's right. Yeah. I think down south. Sorry, Franny. I think down south. If he went to, let's say, Middlesbrough, they could do that easily. But we're in a different world. We understand this financially. But I don't think he'll end up in the Championship or EPL kind of lower down teams. I think he'll be in the MLS somewhere exotic. I think that's where his eyes are, in my opinion. But 10 to 15k a week, and his value to be sold on, you're right, pre-contract, so nil. That's being blunt.
I just find like saying it's no worth. We argue wanting Celtic to be more adventurous and pay more wages, but then we didn't want to reward the guys that have gave so much to the club.
To quality players. I don't think Greg Taylor is quality, like top quality, if you get me.
I think he's achieved a lot and contributed a lot for the time he's been here. He'll look at. I know he's not been the sole reason for all the medals, but he'll look at his medals and go, "Well, look at all this. That's a good bargaining chip for him." But I don't think we can moan about not paying wages and then saying, "Well, we're not paying him that much."
That's fair enough, but I mean, Ralston's been a part of the journey. Would you offer him 10 to 15k a week?
Ralston's played 100 games in about 10 years.
No, I get this, but what I'm trying to say is I think Straight as Love the Doctor comes in as well with a good point. I can't get it up there on the screen.
Greg's a great player, but if you compare him to fullbacks across England and Europe, he's not exactly the profile they're looking for. I think he excels at Celtic because he's been grown into it, which is a fair comment. That is fair. But I just think it's only decent. If you want to keep a guy, you've got to reward a guy that's gave you so much and achieved a lot. Like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend to be the biggest Greg Taylor fan. I mean, kind of far for it, but I will fight a case where I think it's worth fighting for and defend the guy. Equally, doing it a wee bit for debate as well. Sorry, Gav, when you go.
No, I was going to just ask, like, Franny, let's see if you were a winger, little bit kind of the Craig Bellamy type, and you were playing against Greg Taylor. Do you think, would you fancy your chances against Greg Taylor as a fullback?
I suppose yes and no, because he does like to get forward a bit. So there is sometimes space in behind him, but I think his recovery, his position his recovery and his positional play is good at times. But Gav, I feel like you're coming from me a lot now. You've put the Craig Bellamy one. I'm Jimmy saying on birthday's Jimmy Savile.
I forgot that.
It's just it's a new one every week with you, so
sorry.
I'm going to hand in Keelan Tierney's sick note every time I'm on the podcast to Gav moving forward now.
Franny, you mentioned as well about Celtic rewarding Greg Taylor, but he needs to want to stay. You can't make a guy stay if he doesn't want to be at the club. Do you know what I mean? So
alluded to that. I think there was something
and you can't keep them back with contract after contract offer. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones you kind of cut it and be like, if you don't want it, you don't want it.
And then I wasn't necessarily going to bring up Bernabei, Gavin, but I feel like you want to talk about him. But I noticed he was asked about him, and it was kind of a short answer that Rogers gave. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, well, his loan will be coming up soon, and we'll see how that goes. It's good that he's went over and back over to South America and got some game time. I think reading between the lines, he's given the political answer, really, Brendan Rodgers, to say that fucking didn't want this guy anywhere near the club.
Yeah, it was quite blunt. He said the reports I hear is that he's doing well. Yes. But there's nothing more to add to that. His loan spell will finish, and in January we'll review the situation. So that's what he said. I think you can, that speaks volumes. But obviously there's, I read like different Celtic fan opinions online, and people are saying, look, like he's ripping it up right now in South America and the Brazilian league. But let's not forget, he was already ripping up in a South American league. That's why we bought him, because he was impressing in that environment. Brought him over here and he bombed. He completely bombed. And now we've sent him back to that continent, and surprise, surprise, he's doing well again. I think the solution is he should probably play his football there. That suits him perfectly. He's in his comfort zone playing there. I just get bewildered whenever some people say, but he's back on it. Let's bring him back, give him another chance. Everybody's got opinions, but sometimes I just wonder what sort of standards are you wanting Celtic to set if you're going to bring a player of that ilk back and expecting to start performing better for Celtic. We should be aiming for higher, and history has told us our difficult problems in addressing the left back situation. Let's not go back to Bernabei. Let's get serious, like we have done about other positions in the team. Be bold, buy with intelligence. That's what I would say.
I totally agree. Before I come to you and your favourite player, Stephen, I just want to bring up this comment from Monty. John and Willis, they're both doing well and stuff. They're still very much involved in the podcast in the background. John's obviously still got going for a wee bit and stuff. Willie's doing the house and things like that as well. But they're still helping out and very much part of the podcast. But we'll pass that on to you. But coming to you, Stephen, Bernabei. I mean, I can't remember the Twitter account that I've seen it, but it's a Celtic Twitter account. I don't know if it's a young boy, but the way he portrays himself on Twitter as if he's a young boy that works in a building site and things like that. But there's also rumours that Bernabei might be going for about $8.5 million. I think he said I think his tweet was along the lines, if Celtic sell him for $8.5 million, put up Peter Lawwell better get a statue next to Brother Wilfred. We can't, surely, I mean, even you didn't expect to get $8.5 million for Bernabei.
Wouldn't expect to get 8.5p for Burnley, but when he left us to go over to Brazil. But look, again, Gav's right in a sense. That environment in South America might suit him. The leagues, the Argentinian league and the Brazilian league, just might suit his style of play. Do you know what I mean? And that's good for him. That his own environment to settle into and his own kind of his own culture, his own. What's going on here? His own culture.
We've got Gav there.
Gav multiplied when we were talking about Bernabei. But yeah, look, it's one of these. It's one of these things. And Franny, I think for a wee while, me and you, like we did with Barcast, kind of champion Bernabei just to see him do well and see if he could do it in a Celtic shirt. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. He's had a lot of issues. I don't know with drinking, and he welcomed the new baby to the world. So obviously, family stuff as well. So might have been enough for him to adapt to, and the South American culture, where he's from, where he's comfortable with, might just suit him. In terms of the fee, it's astronomical for basically a third choice right back. But if they're willing to pay it, you're taking it to 8.3 million quid. You're taking it 100%. I've seen an argument: could you bring Bernabei back and give him a chance? I don't know. Could you? I don't think that really weighs up with the realms of possibility. I think Rodgers is just wants him out of the club, and he's
take us in different rings.
and he just wants Bernabei away, and it's just unfortunate. Sometimes players don't get the rub of the green, funny enough, and they just have to move on. And if they prove they're at the club they're at now, I think it's Internacional in Brazil, probably pronounced that wrong, but he's doing well by all accounts, and he's flying. I think he's in the top left backs in our league with assists and goals. So fair play to him, and I hope he continues it. And I hope Celtic get a good transfer fee that maybe we could reinvest back into the club. And I do want to say, welcome back to Magranda in the comments. Got the Wi-Fi sorted out, so good to have him back on in the comments section.
It's good to see him. And Strange Love the Doctor saying if you wanted to buy a guy performing at Bernabei's level from that league, 8 million, then it would be the going rate. And I kind of agree with it. It's where we are. I mean, I know I was having a go earlier saying we argue paying more money and paying more wages, then we're saying don't pay guys like Taylor more money. And we're laughing about 8 million for Bernabei, but in realistic, if you look at the way he's playing and stuff, and quick look at stats, that's probably a fair price for what he's doing. But we'll kind of move on. Just a wee thing I want to touch on. I'll come to yourself, Stephen, because I know you're big on youth football, and you say there's no pathway. We need a pathway and stuff. Brendan Rodgers said there's a pathway the day in the press conference. He just said if you're good enough, you'll be at Celtic. If you just need some patience, I think that's maybe a dig at guys at Rockovata, the boy Kelly that's left, because he was asked about the boy. Is it Cummins? I think the young striker's name is
Daniel Cummins.
Who's doing well and stuff. And he mentioned, and he rhymed off some players. Yes, there maybe is folk that are leaving earlier. Guys like Ben Doak, and probably the most obvious one in the recent times. But do you still think? No, I'm not necessarily asking you to go too in depth here, but are you with Rodgers saying if they're patient, if they're good enough, they'll get a game, or are you still saying we should be doing more?
I mean, there is a pathway, but unfortunately, Darren O'Day's doing the door, and he's not letting anyone in at this precise moment in time. But look, when I sent that clip into the group chat before we come on, don't know if any's clicked on it. Probably didn't.
No,
but
because we
it was
watched
just
the press conference, unlike you, I think.
Mate, I've been busy flat out, all right? But like, I agree with what he's saying. The cases with Rocco Fata and Daniel Kelly really pissed me off. They got above their station so quickly and were demanding extortionate contracts for doing basically nothing in a Celtic shirt. So good riddance to them. I think that, let's be fair, Rocco Fata hasn't seen much minutes at Watford, and the same with Daniel Kelly at Millwall. So that happens, but you can't ignore the fact we've let a few players slip through the net in recent years. Let's not go through a whole list here, but there's been a few players. You mentioned Ben Doak, he probably can turn down Liverpool. Leo Hjelde, the centre half, I think he's doing well in English football at the moment. So there's been a few where we've been a wee bit lackadaisy and let them go. That again. But the issue with the academy is we need to see that pathway. It's been it's been a few years since we've seen a constant kind of flow of development and players really peeking their head above the parapet. And Daniel Cummings, I think, has 20 goals and 19 appearances, so it's good that he's getting up to train with the first team. A striker, by the way, it's so refreshing that there's a striker on form, young, coming from the Celtic Academy, and hopefully he can go on and do big things for us in the future. And he shines in his opportunity at first team training, and he impresses Rodgers. But of course there's a pathway. And I think Rodgers mentioned the fact he was a youth coach for 15 odd years at various different clubs. So he understands, and he thinks he likes to know anyway that he understands what it takes from a youth footballer. And I thought it was good that he mentioned the principles of a good attitude, work ethic, and talent as well. So there's things to go by there. I just want to see that. I mean, with this investment in Barrowfield, there has to be. I mean, the players, the infrastructure just has to improve from youth level, and hope that you see a couple of players breaking through in the coming years. So yeah, I agree with him, but at the same time, it's like we've let a few go in the past, and we need to tighten that up, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And same with yourself, I think Stephen makes a good comment regarding Barrowfield. Obviously, it's still development now. I don't know how far away we are to finishing, but again, I'm not really asking you to go too in depth and stuff regarding the pathway and things. But are you siding with Rodgers and on the Barrowfield thing? I do agree with Stephen that if obviously I'm not expecting instant success from that, but you would expect within a few. I think if there's nobody really coming through in maybe 4 or 5 years' time of that being sort of officially opened, and we're using that as, I know it's not solely for development, but it's for the youth team and things. If we don't start seeing folk coming through, I think then questions maybe can it be fair to get asked at that point. I don't know where you are.
Look, I totally agree with Brendan Rodgers, and Stephen kind of covered a lot of the points quite well. The sound bites for Rodgers in the press conference. He did say that there's always factors why people do and why people don't get a chance in terms of the youth products at Celtic. I think if you're good enough, then you will be given a chance. So I totally agree with it. In terms of the developing the youth academy, the Barrowfield, like, we used to develop quality players on like red ash pitches. So why do we need a super duper, youth centre to see a continuation of that talent? There's obviously merits to it. There's obviously the club are investing in that to improve the facilities, to make things better, but if the talent is there, the talent's there, that'll only be a small factor in enhancing people's talent and enhancing their development, their coaching. But no, I totally agree with Brendan Rodgers, and he was quite scornful of that kind of saying, like, there's no pathway to the first team.
Looked like it upped him a wee.
Yeah, it's because people are they're speculating from the outside and they're looking in, and that's what we do. We do that about every aspect of the club, from the top to the bottom, and that's natural, because we don't have any insight. But he's got his finger to the pulse. He knows better than anybody about the reasons for and the reasons against the youth development. He said that we can't do anything about the vultures who come for the players who are 14, 15 and take them down to England. There's really not much we can do about that. They either make the decision to stay at Celtic or they go down south, follow the money, And you would hope that maybe the parents would have a say in that, but I'm sure they do have a say in that. And maybe some of them are even they are tempted by the move down south. So we've kind of got our hands tied behind our back in that regard. We don't really have much of a deterrent. But I firmly believe if you're good enough, then you will get games for Celtic. I'd put in the group chat a couple of weeks back that I was annoyed with Doak leaving. He's on loan right now at a Championship club. It might be Middlesbrough. Yeah. If he never left Celtic, then he would be. We might not have bought Nicholas Kuhn when we did. Doak might have been ready at that point for exposure to the first team. It is what it is. He's left, and I don't want to kind of sob over that. It is what it is. But Franny, I'm kind of siding with Brendan Rodgers. He knows better than most folk the reasons for, the reasons against, and
I think a big issue as well is the lack of reserve competition. I don't think that Lowland League really benefits the club at all in any way, shape, or form. And you're playing against, no disrespect, by the way, but part-timers, bricklayers, all the professions you could think of. And look, if you're developing talent, I mean, is it a coincidence you look back in years gone by, like McGeady, Maloney, people of that ilk came through youth academies which had a structure to it, a reserve league, a reserve competition, cup competitions. I remember in the early 2000s, late 2000s, you were playing Hibs and all every year because they were really good in the cup, reserve cups, and you were playing them, and you were competitive in the reserve league. And remember, the rule was you could have first team players go down recovering from injuries, and they could play a couple of games at reserve level.
You could 2 or 3 or something could be named in the starting lineup or something.
So all that's gone. All that's gone now, and it's like it's a struggle. It really is at this precise moment.
No, I think, like, without going into it, Stephen, I think that is the deeper issue for me. Like, I agree with a lot of what Gavin said regarding it and stuff, but with you, Stephen, I think it's Scotland as a whole. James has been massive on that. He articulates himself really good with that, but saying it about it being Scotland as a whole is probably the bigger issue with your football. But before we kind of move on, Gavin, Paul's got a question for you. What's the frame shirt behind you?
And it is
the
shot from the Invincible team.
See, I hadn't moved into the comments, Gavin, so I didn't notice you'd done that, Paul. Sorry.
You're doing really well tonight.
I'd actually started
get the red
wine. But we'll just kind of move on. Just a wee quick one, because I don't think there's really anything in it. But I'll come to yourself, Gavin, first. There was a wee rumour thing that I think it was a wee bit clickbait. Started doing the rounds in Twitter. Paul Parker was speaking in a Danish sort of a TV show, sports show or something, and asked about Christian Eriksen. And I'm assuming Paul Parker's got some sort of ties to. He's also got ties to Man United, but I'm assuming he's got some sort of connection with Celtic somewhere. And he chucked Celtic along there. Now, I would take Christian Eriksen in a heartbeat, first and foremost. But the way Paul Parker put it to me,
it's a funny turn of phrase that you just used there.
Oh my God! Wow! I just see what I hear that there. But I would have Christian Eriksen in a blank, fill in the blanks.
A millisecond.
I would have him. But the way Paul Parker put it, I don't think it was sold to me very well. The fact that it'd be a good way to fit, essentially it was almost like do it for the sake of your CV. I don't doubt that Christian Eriksen would perform for us, certainly domestically and probably on a European scale. He's a very good player, and at 32. But if you look at him, I would look at him midfield, and I think he improves our midfield. I'm not saying he walks in, week out, but it's one I would have. I know, Stephen, you weren't a fan of Aaron Moy, but it could be that type of that type of signing where he just manages games, he gets us through games. For me, Eriksen would be a really good signing. I don't think it's happening. I think it's just Paul Parker. It's like I say, it's clickbait. But if there was something in it, Gavin, would you have him?
I've not clicked on it. Okay, I just spoke to.
Essentially, Paul Parker. It does pretty much just say that I think Celtic would be a good club to go to for him. He obviously knows Kasper Schmeichel from the Danish squad. Yeah, it'd be good for him to experience that for a couple of years. So essentially, just go and just get Celtic on your CV, mate.
Right. Well, the question is does he make Celtic a better with him in it? Yeah, he probably does. He does. Yeah, his experience, his skill, his vision. Yeah, he does actually make Celtic a better team with him in it. For the long term, maybe not a great option. Probably hinders the development of the likes of Bernardo and Engels, and arguably even Hatate, because let's remember that we are a club with the player trading model. We give them exposure, they get better, then they go for a big fee. That's the name of the game with Celtic, like it or lump it. So with him coming in, it's going to put somebody's nose at a joint. And you correctly spoke about Aaron Moy, and that meant that Matt O'Reilly had to sit on the bench for a while because of that. So if Eriksen comes in, then one of those guys is going to have to drop out. And our midfield is stacked right now. And I would say, like, in relative terms, quality, when was the last time that we had such a quality midfield, Bernardo's on the bench and Luke McCowan, who I'm a big fan of Luke McCowan. But those are the guys waiting in the wings. And I think whenever they come on, there's not a big gulf and a drop-off in quality. So Eriksen comes in, and who have you got? Maybe Cal McGregor stays in. The Engels would probably stay in. So does that mean that Hatate drops out? Because Hatate is going to be probably the next likely signing, or likely departure from Celtic for good money. If he continues his eye-catching performances in the Champions League, the Leipzig game went a hell of a long way to kind of raise his profile in Europe. So, yeah, Eriksen probably benefits us in the short term. I don't think that we really, really need him, though. We're happy through a Champions League campaign. And does he want to come? The money is not going to be anything close to what he's been on since maybe he was a youngster at Ajax. So I don't know if it suits him. And somebody did say that if he wanted to get money, he could easily go to Saudi Arabia. So I don't know. And does he really want to come to Scotland? Nah,
I think it's pie in the sky's the wrong word, Stephen. But I think it's, like I say, I think it's just Paul Parker, lazy sort of punditry. I don't know where you're with.
I'm probably going to go against the grain here, but I wouldn't have Christian Eriksen at Celtic Football Club, and I think we're looking at this all wrong.
I think a lot of folk are saying that.
I think we're.
I don't think it's happening.
For me, from a purely tactical sense, Eriksen doesn't offer anything in terms of pressing, in terms of tracking back, kind of box to box. He's lost that yard of pace. And look, for me, I wouldn't sign a player.
Let's be honest.
No, but I mean, again, there we go. I think we need pace in our team. And I think Sam Fran is right in a sense. We want to sign players up and coming, but with a decent pedigree as well, like Arnie Engels, that kind of level we're talking about. And I think Gav hits the nail on the head. It would stunt the development of certain players within the team. And if you're going to bring him in a big way to sit in the bench, I don't think he would start. I really don't. And again, that's testament to our midfield at this precise moment. I think they're just functioning great together. Christian Eriksen, we all know what he's been through and stuff like that. And it's remarkable the rise he's had again in his football career after what happened. But I think he should just take the opportunity and go to Saudi Arabia and get hundreds of £1,000s a week and see out his career that way and have a nice wee nest egg for him and his family. And the move to Celtic can be put far back in people's minds. And it's a no-goer for me.
Personally, I think it's an all-go. Like Plunge McNugget makes a good point. I think saying we need players with experience for the Champions League, which Christian Eriksen would give us that. But I think that's one of the things. If we're going to get that experience, it has got to be of that
older
sort of age level. There's got to be older. Monty comes in saying Lubo's 33. A bit of tongue in cheek in that. I think for Monty, because you could probably find a lot of 33-plus-year-olds that were rotten for Celtic. I think to try. I mean, Lubo's a special player, not to say Eriksen isn't, but I think if we went through it all, you could probably find as much good ones as there was bad ones. But we'll just kind of move on. It was just a wee one that was doing the Twitter ones, and now I'm getting the notepad out because it's the only bit of prep that I've wrote in. It's a quiz, mate. Thanks for looking at the topics. Thanks very much.
I thought that was this is your life book. You know, I looked at
this is your life, Stephen. This was what you were meant to do today.
That's just what threw me off. You read it down.
Stephen's on, Gavin. It was only got to be me and Stephen, but Gavin's done us all a solid and then made me do a quiz. I say made me like he was like meshes me. I just decided to do one.
He did. He threatened you.
I decided to do one to try and pack at the podcast, and we're about three topics in, and we're an hour down. So I'm doing all right to pack. Putting enough of us in to pack it out a wee bit. But comments after Bayfies and join along in the comments.
Hold on.
Okay. Obviously.
I need them. Can I get a wee head start?
But just 20 questions. Shout out the answer. Whoever's got the most points at the end of the 20 questions, we'll just declare the winner. But we're going till I've asked.
Well done, Gav.
Well, Gav, let's see how much you win by.
You never know.
Well, I think we do. But
hold on. Can I ask you a question? Have you done me up a kipper? Have you done me up an absolute?
Not a chance, mate. Not a chance. I mean, there's some general knowledge ones there that maybe just in for a bit, but I think the football ones are generally fair.
See if you fire in it. Anything about what do you call that arsehole that always gets mentioned? Gabriel Buddha, whatever his name is. It always comes up we use in quizzes. I swear to God.
It's not came up this time.
Stephen, your paranoia at the start of quizzes is palpable.
Oh, I know. But right, so question 1. Who did Celtic sign Henrik Larsson from?
Feyenoord.
Gavin, 1-0 Gavin. Shot Steve.
Not a chance. Are you joking me? Right now?
Stop playing face. Gavin said Feyenoord, and you went Feyenoord.
Oh, wow.
Gavin's
okay.
1-0 to Gavin. 1-0 to Gavin. 100%. Who currently wears the number 29 jersey for Celtic?
Engels?
No. Think about this, Gavin.
29.
It's topical.
Oh, do you want to fucking hand them on a plate?
You're allowed to guess as well if you want, like.
29?
You might have not seen the message earlier, but it's been in the group chat. The day.
Bernardo?
Nope.
Palmer? No, he's 7. Fucking hell, what a terrible guess.
Why can I not see this in my mind? Usually I can see it, but is it a first team player?
Nah. Well, he's a first team player.
Scott Bain.
The birthday boy.
Birthday boy.
Gavin,
that was me who posted that in the group chat as well.
Exactly, that's what I said, Gav. That's what I said. There's a reason I put that one. Question 3. What nationality is former Porto striker Mario Jardel?
Brazilian.
Well done. By the way, did Rangers ever sign him? I'm sure Rangers wanted him, didn't they?
He was pictured in a Rangers top, but it never. The transfer never took place. Him and his wife were over in Ibrox, picture and all that.
He was some player. He was good. He's a good goal scorer. 2-1 to Gavin. Stephen probably doesn't care who Mario Jardel is. So
of course I do.
He's also good in Football Manager. Really good in Football Manager too. if you could sign him because he couldn't get a work permit for him. Michael Beale has just become number 2 at which club?
Al-Farigak.
That was Gav again, mate.
Oh my God, this is winding me up. This is winding me up.
But how seriously, how mad is that he's now Gerrard's number 2 again? If we fucking number 1 soon or something, whoever telling him he's the best invented football and that. That's just mental. Absolute mental that he's now Gerrard's number 2 again. Right, 3-1 Gav. Question 5. On which continent would you find the world's largest desert? That's such a random answer, by the way.
Hold on. Can you repeat it again?
On which continent would you find the world's largest desert?
Is it Asia?
No.
Fuck, I'm shy of a continent.
Not many, mate.
I know.
Do I need to wait for Stephen to guess before I can guess again?
No, yes, of course it can. It's protocol. What are you talking about?
Right, Stephen's got a guess. It doesn't ken any continents.
Oceania.
No, but I mean it's technically not the world's worst guess when you think about it. Like Gavin.
Because I was going to do a pure obscure one, but
try it.
But you said that was a terrible guess, Oceania.
No, I said it was. I understand the guess.
All right, okay. Look, this doesn't make any sense. But is it the Antarctic?
Yes. That's why I think it's very random. Celtic Supporters Podcast got that one right first. I think Uncle Kevin got it right as well. He did. Aye. Confused the hell out of me.
Unbelievable.
I think he means Antarctica. I'll give him it. Right, so that's 4-1 to Gav. Question 6. Which club has won the most FA Cups?
Arsenal.
Are
you fucking winding me up? Nowhere near. I think there's a delay. Hold on a wee second. I know how we're going to sort this out. Right, Franny, tell us to say hello at the exact same time and tell me who you hear first.
Is this a Rangers song that you're trying to stop?
Go, Franny, because I want to know. There's a proper delay because you're not getting me at all.
It's not really like me saying say hello. It's on your reaction time to say it at the same time, isn't it?
Like, go.
Say hello.
Hello. He's just done that on purpose. Does carry on. I don't care no more. These are all cheating bastards.
It's 4-2, Stephen. I'll give you the Arsenal one. I do think you were just ahead.
Stephen, do you want to do like rock, paper, scissors to see if there's a delay? Would that work?
No, sorry. Just go. It's fine.
He's realised how stupid he was, Gav, there. And he wonders why he's getting beat at the quiz. Which stadium is known as the Theatre of Dreams?
Old Trafford.
I'll give you that again, Stephen. I think you just got in there. So 4-3. Well done, Stephen. A wee fight back.
Did you give him the Arsenal one as well?
Are you joking me, Gav? Wakes up. Of course you give me it.
Gavin, I've still got confidence in you, don't worry. In which country is the Chernobyl nuclear plant located?
Ukraine.
Well done. Stephen, shut up.
Are you joking? Are you actually winding me up right now? Are you? Oh my fucking God, by the way. What's the point of doing a quiz when there's there's a clear delay? I'm literally saying it at the exact same time. He's saying it, and you're going to me that you're here. Wow.
Franny, man, this is tearing us apart right now. This quiz.
Right. So it's that 5-3. Can't believe you thought you said that first there. I tried to sneakily make your mic there. Right. Question 9. I can't read my writing. Where is the strongest human muscle located?
Your jaw.
Well done, Gavin. Stephen, you want to say you've said that? And you said it.
I didn't know it. I didn't know it, but it's an absolute piss take. Twice I've been on the exact same time, and you're on about trying to tell me you only hear Gav, but it's fine.
It's not a boss sack. It's not a Bossack. So it's that 6-3. In terms of matches, who's Celtic's shortest serving manager?
Mowbray.
No.
John Barnes.
Well done, Gavin. 7-3. Name the first. What? Oh, name the first World Cup winner to play for Celtic. Thank God I know the answer to this.
Janino.
Well done, Stephen. 7-4. What was the name of the feared drug kingpin who was head of the Medellin cartel?
Escobar? Fuck.
Well done, Steve. What do you mean? Pretty confident.
Pablo Escobar?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Okay.
I had that mind blank.
So it's that 7-5? 7-5?
7-5.
How many Champions League / European Cups have AC Milan won?
6.
Both wrong.
7. Yeah.
7. Well done, Gavin.
Oh, that was right.
Who said 7 first? Was that Stephen, Gavin? To be honest with me, because I wasn't on. Sounded like Gavin.
No, but it doesn't matter. It was my guess, but Gav, you fire in.
Well,
7.
It's getting awkward.
8-5 to Gavin. Pink ladies and Granny Smiths are types of what?
Apples.
No, it's just apples, Stephen. Gavin, you get the point there for him saying that wrong. 8-6. What was the name? What is the name of Dr. Dre's record label?
Death Row?
No.
Death Records?
No, you both, but it's still wrong.
Dr. Dre?
That's Suge Knight's one.
Sony Records? I don't fucking know. Any clues? No.
It's got another word for arithmetic in it.
Sorry, say it again.
So the first word is, well, it's the same word, but the first part of the word is the opposite of before, and the second part is another word for arithmetic. Well done. So it's at 9-5. English rock star Elton John twice owned which football club?
Watford.
Gavin again.
Is he fucking
That
joking?
was Gavin. It was Gavin, but 10-5.
Whoa. No. You're stopping right in your tracks, by the way. I said that before he even opened his mouth. What are you talking about?
I can't wait till you watch this back, Stephen, because you didn't.
Mate, this is an absolute wind-up. I don't know if you've done this on purpose, but this is a wind-up of epic proportions. Go ahead.
I feel like James will just be sitting smirking away happy here right now. Right, question 18. Who did Lubo make his debut against?
Rangers?
No, that's who I thought. Turns out it wasn't he?
Motherwell.
Nah. To be honest, it's taking a shot at the dark, really, right now. Do you want to guess each?
Pardon me. Hibs?
No.
Dundee.
Oh, well done. Look at the comments, Stephen. Stephen just like this. Oh. 10-6. I'll give it for all your morning, Stephen. Who did Celtic sign Paul Lambert for?
Borussia Dortmund.
Oh my God.
Stephen, see if you dare try and say that quicker.
It's not even. It's not even funny no more. It's a piss take. But genuinely, there's been not that. There's been 4 times in this quiz. There's been 4 times in this quiz where I've been ahead, but it's fine.
Aye, I know. Aye, so there is. Right, Arnie Engels represents which country?
Belgium.
do apologise, Stephen. You were halfway drinking.
Oh, he's fucking.
Because I was looking at the question. And
I don't even care. I don't give a fuck. So it's fine.
Well, you'll love it because that's what's moved on. We've moved on for the quiz, Stephen. I think it finished 12-6, and I gave you a couple of sympathy points there as well, Stephen. So just have that. I think you need to look at my phone to see what I said we've got to talk about. I would ask you, Stephen, but you didn't read the comment, read what we've got to talk about. But no, well, it was meant to be the press conference, but we've obviously spoke about that. We'll just kind of move on to the game that's coming up, Stephen, tomorrow. At Tynecastle, 7:45 kickoff Saturday night. First of all, what do you make of that kickoff time? It's a bit of a random one on a Saturday night, is it not?
It's random, but I think it's going to be a great atmosphere at Tynecastle. I think nighttime games are unbelievable, and maybe different for the players and coaching staff. But for me, I'm really looking forward to this game. I think it'll be electric. I think it'll be just full throttle from both teams, and it's one that's a good game to come back off the international break. There's something to get your teeth stuck into.
Nah, totally. Gavin, what about yourself? Well, Stephen's clearly as ready. He's just answering for about 10 seconds and shutting up.
In terms of the kickoff, you know, if it was at Parkhead, I'd be raging because I don't want that. But because I'll be at home watching it on TV because it's away, it's not as bad. But if you're a season ticket holder at Hearts, even though I don't have any sympathy for those supporters at all, I could understand the frustration. It's just the way things are going right now, that we are kind of bending over backwards with all these different time slots just to be on TV. Like you even see it in the English Premier League. You're getting like 8 o'clock games on Saturday night as well. It's not even just a half night
game as well at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. So
another week.
Everybody's suffering in the UK, whether you're Man City or whether you're Hearts. You know, it is what it is. I'm not a big fan of it, but Steve is probably right. The atmosphere will be great, and it will certainly give ample time for the Hearts supporters to get jaked up, and they'll be even more despicable, you know, with their chants, with their fucking ugly faces. So yeah, it'll be a very, very hostile atmosphere. But you know, these games always bring, you know, atmosphere, intensity, and it's kind of difficult sometimes for our players to kind of earn the right to play in those games. But actually beating them on their own turf, I love it. Kevin Keegan style, I fucking love it. I really do, man. It's brilliant beating them on their own turf. Yeah.
Nah, totally. You know, kind of come back to you, Stephen. Like, obviously, the last couple of times we've came back for international break, obviously Ross County and stuff, not necessarily. It's been probably poorest performances. Not what I jinx it, but I think Hearts might be. I wouldn't say the perfect game. Going away to Tynecastle, I would never consider being the perfect game. It's never a nice place to go. Like Gavin touched on, I think it will be a wee bit hostile. There's always something special about playing under the lights. Any football, it always seems to be more of a spectacle. There always just seems to be. Sometimes just feels like something mad happens when you play a late night game of football. Sometimes, but I say I'm not want to jinx it, but it might just be the perfect game. Hearts have still sitting second bottom, have picked up some sort of form in the sense that they're playing a wee bit better football or not. They might just sit in again when we come to town. So it might, like I say, it might just be the perfect game for us just to really, really get motoring for this tricky, like we touched on earlier, it's a tricky period coming up. And what better way to do that is to go to Tynecastle and put on a dominant performance. Yeah,
I mean, you could be right. It could be the perfect game to come back off an international break. But at the same time, Hearts are kind of in that transition period under a new manager. They've kind of had the new manager bounce. I think they've only been beat once since he's been in charge. I mean, had a derby win quite recently against Hibs as well. So, and also the development at Hearts that Brighton's invested Tony Bloom £10 million into the team.
They've got access to that mad.
Yeah, the analytics. So only club. Yeah, I think that could be something to keep an eye on in the future. But yeah, these games they're going to be difficult. Just depends how we start. And I think Gav makes a great point. It'll be a test of mettle for some of the newer players like Arnie Engels, playing in that atmosphere, that hostile environment. Kuhn as well, even experiencing that nighttime game at Tynecastle, probably out with Ibrox, is the most poisonous atmosphere as we as a club will face the whole season in the Scottish League. So yeah, it could be the perfect game, but you have to be cautious. I think Nate Critchley is a far better manager than that donkey Naismith was anyway for them. So again, as you said, Franny, he's very organised, plays 4-4-2, sits in a low block and looks to hit the counter with Fargas and Shanklin, the wee fat mess, kind of playing in the 10 position. And obviously the likes of, who's at midfield? Oh, I can't remember his name. Cammy Devlin, he's tenacious. Players like Kyle Rhodes, who's an Australian international. So they've got decent players throughout the team. Craig Gordon as Scotland's number 1. So you can't really underestimate them, but you would say if Celtic go in fully firing and with the strongest team possible, that will definitely make a dent in, and I think it'll just be a great spectacle. I'm really looking forward to it.
And I'm looking forward to it as well. And I don't know about you guys. I'm assuming you'll be looking forward to it as well. Like say, nighttime games, they can be a wee bit special. But what you looking? How you seen the games? You think it could be? I think I feel like I'm just going to totally contradict myself. I do think we could actually battle them, but equally wouldn't surprise me if we start slow, just natural first game after an international break. Sometimes you do start slow, but I think sometimes if Hearts start quick, maybe could go against us. So I would hope we just kind of come out sort of all guns blazing, if you like.
Yeah. I think you're right in what you're saying, acknowledging the international break, especially with some of our key players, the Japanese trio, travelling halfway across the world as well. So you don't know if they will have recovered from their jet lag. I think for me anyway, I'm kind of building in this allowance that they might not be the entire 11. They might not be, up and at them, like raring to go. Obviously mentally they will be, but they just might be a little slow out the blocks. That can happen, as you've said. So I won't be surprised if that happens. But as long as we just play the game, don't play the atmosphere, and just believe in ourselves. Brendan Rodgers, he's a kind of calming influence in these types of games. He'll be able to settle the boys down. And Cam McGregor will play, so obviously we're benefiting from him not playing international games now. So he'll be hopefully quite fresh, and I expect a victory. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose a goal, albeit Hearts are one of the lowest goal scorers in the league right now. They've lost a massive amount of games so far in this campaign, but as Stephen said, maybe they have somewhat kind of steadied up a little bit under the new manager. But I expect a victory, but I don't expect it to be all plain sailing. It might be nothing each by half time, and by the second half, we might then move up the gears. That might be the case. As long as we win, as long as we don't get any injuries, as long as we don't get any suspensions, that's the hope. But yeah, I fully expect a victory. Are the Huns playing on the same day? Are they playing on the Saturday?
Yeah, they play at 3 o'clock.
Dundee United.
Dundee.
100% who they're playing. But
Aberdeen are away too. It's funny how we start talking about Aberdeen now in the fixtures.
They're away to St Mirren.
Away to St Mirren, aye. That'll be a difficult fixture for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, looking forward to it. I've got the bear in the mortar. So hopefully, she settles down and she'll.
Aye. No, I'm more looking forward to it, and I think it could be a good game, and time will tell. Hopefully, like you were saying there, Gavin, hopefully we take care of business quite sharp and we can maybe rest guys. Looking forward to Wednesday, because as much as I think Wednesday will take care of itself, sometimes these games, you just need to get the job done, get the win, get out of there and move on. Look forward to Wednesday, which is probably a bigger game without disregarding every game's obviously a big game, but I would be more. a poor performance, yes, it's not going to be ideal, but I'd be more concerned if we were constantly turning in poor performance and just grinding out results. I can accept the odd one here and there, but I'll just kind of come straight back to you, Gavin, with your predicted lineup and score prediction, please.
Right, okay, so for the back line, Schmeichel. So I'm not aware of any injuries. So Schmeichel.
I think Brendan Rodgers said that they've got a clean bill of health, so I'm with you. I'm not.
So Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and I would definitely start Greg Taylor for this type of game. Definitely start him for this type of game. And in the midfield, yeah, Engels will obviously play Callum McGregor and Hatate. By the way, can I just say, see Hatate, he was interviewed recently, and one of the questions was, do you remember a particular goal that you scored for Celtic that made you feel accepted by your teammates? And he spoke about that screamer that he scored at Tynecastle in Ange's first season. You remember it was like from way outside the box. It was a rocket. Craig Gordon, barely saw it before it went past him. He spoke of that goal. And quite an interesting one because that's a hostile environment, and he obviously stood up and he got a brilliant goal. And, to do it in that type of environment, it goes a long way. And maybe one of the new players for Celtic could maybe do something like that as well. So, yeah, same midfield.
Sorry, Gavin, before you kind of go on, just because you were talking about Hatate there, would you make P. McLaughlin's comments about maybe the officials will look to target Hatate after, I think, arguably getting away with one before the international break?
The officials target?
I don't think it'll play Brendan Rodgers sort of in mind picking the team, but
I don't subscribe that the officials are out for Hatate. I know that at the very most, I would say that officials can be aware of players' reputations, but I don't think Hatate, after that incident that we spoke about from the last game where he could have got a red card, but he didn't get a red card, I don't think that'll play in anybody's mind. He's not a dirty player as such. So no, I don't have any concerns about that. And up front, Maida, Kuhn, Kyogo. Yeah.
Score?
3-1.
I'll take that. Celtic Supporters Podcast as well. He reckons the officials might target some Celtic players. Stephen, I'll come yourself. Team and score.
Schmeichel, Johnston, Carter-Vickers, Trusty, Taylor, McGregor, Engels, Hatate, Kuhn, Kyogo, and Dyson Maeda. My score will be 3-1 Celtic. I'll go with Gav on that one. I think it'll be a goal from Hearts.
Which is the same as pretty much the same as Gav. See, the only difference is I would have. I would maybe not play Carter-Vickers and play obviously Scales and Trusty. Just try and keep Carter-Vickers for Wednesday. I think Bernardo might play instead of Engels, and again keep Engels for Wednesday. I was going to say Engels obviously played a couple of games for Belgium, but Bernardo's still captain under 21s at 35. So I know we kind of hate that joke with James, but it's actually getting mad now that he's still playing.
He's 23, isn't he? 23.
I understood it last year because apparently the rule is obviously if you're of the age when this competition starts, you continue playing. But how does it work now? But I think Bernardo might come in, and my surprise package would maybe be Ida. Doesn't deserve to be starting, but I'd maybe just play it. I just feel he needs a moment. He needs something to happen for him, and it maybe just keeps.
I totally agree with that.
Just keeps Kyogo fresh for Wednesday. Like Wednesday, I'm starting Kyogo.
Yeah.
But I think tomorrow I would maybe. That's the only 3 changes I would make to the team. Joseph said is just get a wee bit. I think Engels is very much an aggressive player and can get himself about, but I just think Bernardo does it a wee bit better, and maybe just Ida just to build him, and I think I'll be a very similar scoreline with yourselves as 3-1. I don't think Ida I'll start, but I would start him.
Ida needs that goal, that performance, just to kick on again, just to kick on.
Needs confidence. needs confidence. But that just kind of brings it to the end of the podcast.
Sorry, mate, can I ask you a couple of questions? I knew that the responsibility would be on yourself tonight to think of topics, but I just thought of a couple of questions, and some of it was from the EGM. One of them, so to get your thoughts, Franny, since you've been asking the questions tonight. So do you remember the fan survey that Celtic did? The results of the fan survey was not discussed at the AGM, and Michael Nicholson actually said that he hadn't had the chance to look over the results. I just thought that was maybe a wee bit poor, a wee bit disrespectful.
Yes.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there was context as to why he's not. But I think this was about 6 months ago that the fan survey was conducted. What's the point in asking for feedback when you've got one annual meeting with the fans and you don't, like, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the fan survey at the next AGM. It's going to be outdated. It's not going to be relevant to an extent. I just thought that was maybe a wee bit disrespectful. Why has he not had the time? Am I being unfair?
No, I don't think you're, Gavin, because obviously, without being a technophobe person, I think the way these sort of surveys will work and things like that is you'll obviously get there's probably the analytics will kick in and there'll be a breakdown of maybe percentages or graphs of how questions were answered. You'll have to go into a wee bit deeper if folk have put separate comments. But no, I think it's poor for Michael Nicholson or whoever should have been looking at that survey. Like you say, don't ask for fan engagement if you're not going to. They were getting credit. As rubbish as some of the questions were and things like that. Don't ask for fan engagement if you're not going to engage in that fan engagement at the end of the day, in my opinion.
Yeah. Stephen, any thoughts on that one?
Doesn't surprise me anymore, Gav. I think the Celtic board treat the fans with contempt anyway, and it's in their nature to disregard really anything that the fans suggest or bring up, especially in AGMs. And as you said, I mean, if you do a survey and work, you think they're, contract bound to read these things and act upon what needs improved or what needs maintained. You'd expect the same from a corporation, a big, massive football club like Celtic to do the same. And the fact that he said that he hasn't even had time to, is he winding us up? Do you know what I mean? It's, as you said, it's very disrespectful to the fans who took their time and effort to put probably loads of thought and creative ideas into them fan surveys, and to be disregarded. Oh, I haven't had time. Come on, give me a break. I don't like that sort of stuff like yourself, Gav. I think it's just really, really, really disrespectful.
Two more small questions. So there was the Celtic End initiative, which has been kind of put forward by the Bhoys and the Green Brigade, and they've used the women's games that have been held at Parkhead as a kind of an exhibition of what it could be like. They're hoping for a standing section at that. Obviously, it upsets
for the women's team. Is that what we're saying here?
It wasn't a point about hijacking the women's team, but there's obviously a lot of people for it, a lot of people against it. I actually remember in the Celtic survey, I said that I was inclined to agree with it, even though I do have my misgivings about it and understand why people who sit in that area, why should they give up their seat? I totally respected that, but I voted for it just because I thought that overall, for the bigger picture, it is something positive. In spite of that, I am kind of wary of the growing influence that some of the ultra groups have, because my views don't automatically correspond with them. Just because you're a Celtic fan doesn't mean to say you agree in every issue of the day. And we're all individuals, and whenever you put somebody in a box, that's when I just reject that. Apparently, the Celtic End initiative has been rejected by the club. I think that was one of the directors did actually say that. Do either of you have kind of strong opinions on that?
From a spectacle, I think it would be great to look at. First and foremost, I think it's great to look at. I think the way they've went about it has been all wrong. Like, for me, personally, I think they hijacked the women's game to push an agenda to try and say, I think they said, oh, well, we'll support the women's game, but I think they've done it to try and push the narrative to say, look what we can give. Yeah. It did look a good spectacle. I'm not going to deny that. But then you've got the argument of Celtic. We're slowly moving away from, very slowly, I must add, you've got to kind of go a wee bit more than we've done, but we have won our last 3 games at home in the Champions League, so we are starting to build a bit of momentum behind getting a decent reputation again, of being feared to come to at Celtic Park without the touristy sort of tag that was attached to Celtic Park. And I think some arguments have been, well, look at the yellow wall at Borussia Dortmund. Why don't we replicate that? And it's, to me, that's a bit of a touristy argument. You're trying to get away from that, but equally you want to sort of get a wee bit of tourist attraction. I mean, there is massive pros and cons for it. Yes, it would look great. Yes, it probably, I don't know if it benefits the team, but I think it would certainly add atmosphere, because it's putting the both ultra groups together who, in fairness to them, do the majority of singing. They initiate a lot of the singing and start it all. They do all the tifos and things like that. So it would keep them condensed, if that's the right word, together and probably in sync, which would then probably resonate around the stadium. But it's moving, it's inconveniencing many thousands of supporters to achieve that, who maybe go to the football for a break away from normal life, for their mental health and things, and you just don't know what that could do to them. Like, they might not want to relocate throughout to somewhere else in the stadium. They might, because they might have built up, they might have went to the football alone, managed to build up a relationship there, and will have a fear of going elsewhere in the stadium and maybe sitting with somebody that they don't know or whatever, and things like that. And I don't want fans that have been paying their hard-earned money for countless years to then give up their season ticket because maybe a wee bit of social anxiety or whatever it may be. They don't want to relocate. Also, there would be a financial implication to do that to the stadium. But that's where I think the ultra groups, like you say, having the influence, kind of gets a wee bit of elitism. We've already accommodated the North Curve by giving them a standing section that was footed by the club. Yes, I believe the season ticket is a wee bit more expensive to sit there, which would obviously help recoup that money. And I'm assuming if you do a whole standing end, again, the price of the season ticket might be reflected in that price to help you recoup some of that money. But initially, it'd be Celtic asked to fork the bill. So to me, it's a wee bit of elitism for a group that argue that they're not part of the elite. I think they have a big influence within the club. Now they get some access that's not given to other fans and not the privilege of other fans. Mm-hmm. So there is pros and cons, but personally I would be against it more to try and put myself, if I was sitting in, no, I've not got a season ticket anymore, but if I was sitting in that end of the stadium that would be affected, I'm trying to answer it as if I was there. I think that's the only honest way. But again, they might argue, the ultra groups might argue, and the folk that are for it could argue that's a selfish opinion, which is perfectly fair as well. I just think it could be, it's harsh to move a lot of fans who then may not want to move, and you lose season tickets. And then the unfortunate thing is, I know it's been rejected, but if they did go for it, the unfortunate thing is Celtic wouldn't lose, because I think our waiting list is closed at about 30,000 now. So even if a lot of these fans didn't take up the season tickets, folk would take up the season tickets. So people that have potentially had season tickets for 20, 30, maybe even 40 a year could just lose it just like that because they aren't for this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's all good points that you make, Franny. Stephen, just to kind of come to yourself about this one, if I was to be obstinate and play devil's advocate in this one, people who are season ticket holders, they don't, like myself, you don't own the seat, you're renting it basically. So if they were forcibly relocated, given options to go to various parts of the stadium, but they were told yes, that could be an option. It's a bit unpalatable, I totally admit. But if we were not to do that, do you think that we would possibly be missing a trick? Because somebody said having a green wall at Celtic, it's world famous. Are we possibly missing a trick by not breaking a few eggs to make? This is going to be a terrible analogy. Pissing off a few people, but to make a great spectacle, which would, we're already world renowned as fans. A lot of people talk about us, but this could be another way to kind of gain further acclaim. Do you think that it's worth pissing off a few people in order to do this? Is it worth it?
I've kind of went back and forth in my own mind about this, and when the first kind of initiative was called for the Celtic end, I was all for it. Obviously, seeing the demonstration at the women's game when it was kind of trial, it looked fantastic. But I think Franny nails it on the head, and I never actually thought about it like this. Why are we trying to merge in with the likes of Dortmund and other clubs who have that kind of presence behind the goal when the ultra group, like the GB or the Bhoys, claim not to be a part of all that, and they're different, they're set apart from tourist attractions and things of that nature. And I think that was a great point that Franny made. And see now, to be fair, and it wasn't just what Franny said there that swayed me. I've thought about this for the last couple of weeks or even months when the topics were brought up and you see it on Twitter and stuff. I like the Green Brigade where they are. I think what they do over there is absolutely magic. I think the way they produce their tifos, the way they can sing and start chants throughout the whole of Celtic Park is incredible. The Bhoys group are up and coming, and they have their own atmosphere as well, which is fantastic. And I think the corner is perfect. Could they not expand where they are at the moment? Could they not bring the Bhoys group over to Liam and maybe relocate the people who would lose their seats? There wouldn't be a fast amount over to the Bhoys corner. Could you not do something like that? Expand the current section that they're in, the standing section. There's different avenues here. I think in principle, like the Celtic end looked great, but see now, and I think me and Franny agreeing, it's magic, isn't it? But I think you look at the women's game and 100% it was hijacked it wasn't, for me, that it wasn't there to support the women. It was there to show the rest of us what a Celtic end would look like. That's all that was. And you see that when you see that the Celtics women thing playing the likes of East Kilbride or Montrose and the women's league, they're nowhere to be seen. It's only when they're at Celtic Park and the Champions League night against Chelsea or another cup game or whatever that they can do these demonstrations. So that's all that was for me. So I mean, I love the Green Brigade. I've made that perfectly known throughout this podcast. I 95% really believe what they do is fantastic, even their political demonstrations. But that's another thing we could go down, but not tonight. But I like where they are. I like what they do where they are. At the tifo they produced at the last Champions League game with the book and the heroes and stuff was incredible. And the fact they can do that from the corner in the standing section is insane. Expand that section, talk about that maybe, but I think the Celtic end is up in the air at the moment. I don't know if you're going to come on to it here, Gav. I don't want to steal the thunder, but what about the talks of the stadium expansion? Were you going to come on to that, or?
No. I just read a snippet that the board said that if the Celtic were in the Premier League, the English Premier League, then there would be a greater motivation in order for them to do that. But they're not as keen, not as eager to capitalise on the waiting list in the present situation. It annoys me if you've got OCD. Not that I actually do, but if you look at the stadium, just the south stands not being at the same level as the others, it's a little bit annoying. That's where I actually sit in the south stand, and I think it should be modernised.
100%.
But again, it's going to cost a massive amount of money. Celtic could easily do it with, I know that we've got the money, but it might even be more economical to do it through staggered loans. Not that I'm really well educated enough to know how they would go about financing that, but I'm sure it's within their means to do that. I heard, I think it was from the previous AGM a year ago, that they said it could be around the 100 million mark, and I think over the course of several years, I think that's something that we could do. I would like to see it done. I would definitely like to see it done. But whether they're going to do it anytime soon, I do not know. But yeah, I think it should be done.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, what would that bring the capacity to? Near 75,000, 80,000, wouldn't it? If they brought the...
I'd be close to that, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you look at the waiting list, you would say that the season tickets would be snapped up. Maybe the seats wouldn't be filled all the time, but you're still getting that money in, no? Would that not be a good
season tickets also guarantees the money, doesn't it? You would,
yeah.
I don't know how it would work, because obviously you need to keep X amount open for your other fans that can't get a season. I don't think you can't go 100% season tickets, so there would be some fans do it.
Can I ask you guys one thing? And it's arguably an unpopular question, but I'll still ask it. So say we did do that, okay? Say we expanded the capacity so it's like full encompassing, and it's like roughly, as you said, about 75,000. Do you think that there could ever be a time where the full allocation is not utilised by Celtic? So we remember back in the Ronnie Dyla time, we had actually shut off part of the upper stand of the stadium, and some people point to that because Rangers were dead and we never had meaningful competition in our league. I think there's a lot to be said about it. Some people don't like to agree to that, and they might be able to put valid points towards that. I don't know. I think there is something to be said wherever you don't have your greatest adversary competing with you on a daily basis, a weekly basis, you know what I mean, in the league. If there's an absence of that, if there's no meaningful competition, if you're romping to the league, I know we are romping to the league, but even though the new Rangers, they're not of the same ilk as what they were in the 90s, there's still that kind of rivalry, that hatred, if you want to call it, that love of beating them, that one-upmanship, because we all work with, Ranger supporters and stuff like that. We love the banter, we love being able to take the piss out of them. Without that, then I think it does diminish to an extent the enjoyment of following a club. Whenever you had that was such a factor of supporting Celtic, the love of beating Rangers, and unfortunately the times whenever they would get the better of you. But I guess what I'm trying to say is there was a period when they died and the attendances did reduce. Now people might say it wasn't because of Rangers, there might have been other factors. Put forward your arguments. But if we did expand to 75,000, could you ever foresee a period where the full stadium is not utilised for one reason or another? Namely the Espanolification.
I mean, for me, like, the attendances did dwindle. I think Strange of the Doctor comes in with a good point. It's for a multitude of reasons. Res 12 was the reason he stopped going for his particular opinion. But could it happen again in the future? Yeah, but I think if the Celtic board keep up the current level of investment, the inroads we seem to be making in European football, then the interest will remain there always. I think with the league stuff, we are the dominant force in Scottish football, and people love that. People are still going. Our biggest competition this season are Aberdeen, and I do get what you mean in terms of that driving you on and the will to win and kind of be at the home games, the drive that Celtic on and be that 12th man. But I can't see it ever dropping to what it was under Ronnie in terms of closing the top stands and putting them flags over and stuff. I think that won't happen again unless something drastic happens, but I can't see it. I know it was spoke about today about the reason we keep so much money in the bank was for a rainy day and all that pish, but I don't think it'll get that bad in terms of...
had a rainy day with COVID.
Exactly, funny. Exactly. The rainy days past, metaphorically. But
I think we came out with a profit.
We came out with a profit. Didn't even take a loan or anything. But insane. But yeah, it's always a risk, Gav. But we always say as well, don't we, that sometimes you need to take that risk to see where it sets you up. And if you expand, I mean, the season tickets are going to be snapped up. So there's the income paying for however much it costs to implement the new stand and, do you know what I mean, the new seats. So I think maybe in the future something we can explore, even within the Scottish League. And I know it was spoken about again today in the AGM that they're always looking to see if the European game is going to be developed more in terms of more teams in it and things of that nature, which tells me that the Celtic board are open to a Super League. They're open to a different competition. So, I mean, they're not closed off to that. So they're looking at money-making ideas as well behind the scenes. Let's not kid ourselves. But with the expansion, I'd be all for it. And yeah, some weeks it might be, you know what I mean, sporadically full, but that happens at all clubs, even in the EPL. Look at Manchester City. The empty hat, it doesn't get called that for no reason. Do you know what I mean? It happens throughout the world. So maybe financially it might not be viable for us for that to happen all the time, but I think the majority of the season would be sold out and would be okay with a stadium expansion.
No, I agree with you. I would like to see it, and I think that could kind of fall on the modernisation of that stand as well, Gavin. It could maybe go hand in hand. Obviously, I know it was a Celtic supporters podcast. He said it's a listed building. I think we all believe that. John, who's not been on the podcast for a while, at 3:30 one morning, couldn't sleep, and somehow, for some random reason, was trying to work out if it was a listed building on. Apparently, it's not a listed building, but nobody got into an argument because we were all sleeping at 3:30. But that's just another debate. But for me, I would like, on one hand, I would like to see it happening. And like Stephen said, the season tickets you would sell the season tickets. I don't think that the selling of the tickets would be an issue short term. Well, short to certainly medium anyway. Long term, would the interest go because obviously already we have a sort of without, if you look at the obvious financial gulf we have against our nearest rivals, Rangers, and now, season on season, due to season tickets, we have about a 10 million head start on them anyway. So if you then upgrade that stadium to say 75 to 80, whatever it is, that's probably 25 million maybe head start, 25, 30 million. Taking away what maybe some of that will have to go to paying back the restructure of the stadium. So you're already miles ahead of them, got an even further head start.
Yep.
Could the interest then go? I'm with Stephen as he kicks the bottle there.
No, it wasn't.
I don't. Well, we don't want to know what's happening after a couple of bottles, Stephen, and some Vaseline. I don't know.
I shouldn't have showed that. I shouldn't have showed that.
We don't need to know where your night's going.
Giving away your plans for this evening.
It's certainly something that I would be for, Gavin. I do think there would be some empty games like Stephen touched on. Just naturally, there'll be some midweek games where it's not necessarily due to the competition. There'll be midweek games where just folk. It's maybe this time of year where it's been absolutely freezing all week, and a midweek game, say against a Ross County, and you'll be like, I just can't be bothered because we all have ways and means of somehow watching the football. I don't know how, but a lot of us seem to work out how to watch the football these days.
Yep.
Aye, you guys always seem to be lagging behind me as well.
If it's because you're at the game, Gavin, it's the time the sound comes through and it comes in the radio. That's what it is. Comes through in the wireless, you know.
Right.
Got to wind it up in that.
Gents, final question of the night, and we're approaching.
He seen it was under 2 hours. He was like, "No, I'm not having this."
I know. It's like I've got milestones that we need to achieve, you know.
Objectives.
We'll get it in 3 hours so John can send another random thing that he's Googled at 3:30 in the morning when he could have been editing the podcast. So it could have went audio.
Right. The final question is, we're approaching the January transfer window. Normally, as a Celtic football fan, you're like, opportunity for further recruitment. We need it for the season. I think this is one of the unique seasons where I don't think we're crying out to make to do any surgery on the team. I'm not for 1 minute saying that there's some people that we shouldn't ship out and replace with better players. I think we need to address the left back situation. I think that we've got Jesus Christ.
Ain't no party like a peed in it, father.
So apart from the left back situation, well, potentially we might have to buy 2 left backs, and I think we've got Palmer, we've got Yang, who I don't think are Celtic quality. I feel quite strongly about that. At the same time, I don't think we need to replace them in the middle of the season. I'm quite content to address that in the summer. However, sometimes it's better just to ship them out and make a purchase on a better player if the opportunity presents itself. However, I just think the point I'm making is, I think this particular January transfer window, there's no massive importance for us to do surgery on the club, and it's just it's good because it's indicative of us having a very, very good season right now under Brendan Rodgers. We have bought well, it seems, even players that like Kuhn, who I thought wasn't going to turn out to be a success. He's been a roaring success right now, and he's keeping James Forrest the team. So I think things are going really, really well, and there's no urgency to make these transfers. Franny, would you agree with that, or would you disagree? Do you think that we still need to make some moves in January?
I think it's always, I mean, you're bang on, Gavin, saying that it's far from desperate saying we need to sign anybody in January. If we go out come February the 1st, and it's a couple of sort of the fringe players will maybe trim the squad a wee bit. Like maybe your Thiago Holmes and the likes of that level of just not featuring at all. Maybe even, I know Lagerbielke is out in loan, but if you maybe can make that permanent, your Bernabei, guys like that, and that sort of stature within the squad, if you like, that are just, they're nowhere near the first team. If we come out and just don't do any incomes and it's guys like that go out, I'd be more than happy with that, more than content. I do think as a football club, you should always try and push forward, but I don't want to just sign folk for the sake of signing folk. I want it to be your Arne Engel pro. In an ideal world, go and just don't be scared to spend every cent, not necessarily every cent, but don't be scared to go and spend the Arne Engels type money in January on one player. If that's who Rodgers wants, go and get the deal done. But where I would be, I do think it's better to do the type of signings probably in the summer, because we might be able to pick up a couple of loan boys that will do us a turn. Oh no, I agree, 100% agree. But I think we're in a good position where it's not desperate to do it in January. It might be that we do a couple of loan deals to kind of just ticking over is probably the wrong term, but keep us ticking over just for 6 months till we come the summer where it's maybe easier to get the deals done. I know James will hate that because he says it's, when you say it's harder to sign boys in January. Mm-hmm. But I generally think it is harder to sign the right player in January. You could argue Adam Weeder wasn't that hard to sign and look what he done. So there is pros and cons, but no, I think I'm more than content. The wingers is where I'm with you. I think the wingers is where we should look, but I'm not too fussed waiting until the summer to look. It is a bit of a gamble if your Kuhn and Maeda's get injured, because I think the drop off to Forrest will play it, will probably perform admirably, but it's not at the level it Kuhn. Just it's an age thing now probably, and Palma it's no Maeda. It simply is no Maeda. It doesn't give you what Maeda gives you. So it is a wee bit of a gamble. Yang, I think there is. I'd push back slightly. I think there is a wee bit there. There is something very, very raw, but I think there's something there that could get nurtured with him. But if we can, it's maybe where I would look. If you can get a permanent deal done, great. But I would maybe look at a couple of loans in the wide area in January. If I was doing any business, I think, or maybe looking at a left back, because if Taylor's not got to sign, we need to look at tying that up, getting something, even if it's something put in place where Taylor. I think Taylor, he looks the type that even if he decides to leave, he's not got down tools. Via whatever happens with him, I don't know what the deal would be with him, but certainly looking at left back, but in the wide position, but more than content if we come out with the status quo at the end of January.
Yeah, I'm much the same. Stephen, now that you're looped up, you got any opinions on the matter?
Really, Gav? I think it was Mick in the comments said we shouldn't rest on our laurels, and I think Franny's alluding to that fact as well. I think for me, the most glaring positions as a left-sided winger, to kind of have competition with Dyson Mieta at this precise moment. I think when you take him out of the team, really have nobody who's a natural left-sided player. No Yang and Forrest can fill in that position, but I would like a natural left-sided winger. A left back would be my biggest priority if Greg Taylor says no. And then Alex Valle is probably due to go back to Barcelona. There's still rumours around him being recalled in January, so that's one to keep an eye on. But yeah, I think it's pretty much a case of we've got a decent core of a team, and it's about kind of adding to that when we see fit and not resting on the laurels. If we see a player who's a midfielder, and if we know a Rio Atate is going to leave, for example, bring him in January, bet him in if that's possible. Things like that. If we're looking at the right back position, could you get someone in to challenge Johnston on a regular basis? Mm-hmm. Would he be happy with that? You don't know in terms of coming in, coming out, that type of thing. So, I mean, the goalkeeping position is another one. What if Schmeichel doesn't sign on for another year? So there's another one you kind of have to have that conversation with right and quick before the window to see where he stands, and if we need to sign a new goalkeeper going into next season. I know the plan is for Sinisalo to be the first choice after Schmeichel departs, but that leaves you with Bain as a second choice, and I don't think that would be a great position to be in. So it'd be interesting to see how we approach January, especially with Tisdale as the head of football operations, to see if there's any targets being drawn up or anything of that nature. I do expect maybe 2 or 3 new signings, but I expect maybe the likes of Palma to go. I expect Bernabei to go. I mean, Naraki possibly to move on. So you're looking at another centre back as well coming in to beef up the numbers. So it will be an interesting January transfer window ahead. And I know it doesn't look like we need a lot of work done, but if a lot of squad players leave, it leaves a lot of gaps that need filled, and potentially the first team players in that position could be improved on. But yeah, I'm as always, I look forward to the rumours. Me and Franny always do in the window. So we'll be posting them regularly in the group. 100%. 100%. But what about you, Gav, since you asked?
I just think it's one of those strange times where normally whenever you get transfer rumours when you're approaching a window, you're like, fucking yes, like that's kind of what you feed on. But this time I'm just a wee bit kind of I'm skeptical. I saw one obviously about Christian Eriksen, and then one of my mates told me about were linked with the captain of Burnley, who
Josh Brownhill.
Yeah, and I'm like hearing that. I'm not even clicking on the links. I'm just doesn't make sense. Why do we need it? But yeah, maybe if there was a link about a left back or maybe a third striker, maybe I'd be a wee bit more intrigued. But I just think that for the Champions League campaign for the remainder of this season, I don't think we need surgery to enhance our chances of the Champions League. I think what we've got right now will succeed or will fail with what we've got right now. In terms of the domestic league, I don't think we need to improve to see it out. I think it's in the bag as long as we don't drop the ball. We're good enough to win the league. I'm confident of that. But it's about the future. Recruitment's about the future. It's maybe not for this season. It's for next season. So I agree with somebody that said that don't rest on your laurels. So plan for the future. If if the right opportunity comes in this January window for next season, then do it. I'll capitalise on it. So maybe there might be a something to look forward to that we don't expect. But maybe there are some people that we need to focus on moving on to another club, such as Bernabei. Yeah.
Nah, totally agree. And then, have you got any more questions, Gavin?
No, mate, it was just those three. I'm sorry to prolong it, but
no, mate, I actually enjoyed that. I enjoyed that.
So
to be fair, I enjoyed that. It was good. It was good. So for a second time, we'll wrap this podcast up. And I was just coming to say, have you enjoyed it tonight, guys?
Yeah, it's been great. Apart from the quiz, everything's been incredible. Loved it. Okay, by the way, Franny, great job hosting. I know it was thrusted upon you, but it was top job. Right. So it was.
Aye. Don't worry. There was talk of Gav getting a new contract. I think I'll be having words.
I really enjoyed it, and hopefully, once we're all back, we can maybe start doing more frequent episodes. But I really enjoy it. So, good job, Fran.
Thank you, and to everyone in the comments, thanks for getting involved and stuff. It was have a good laugh. We didn't mind just taking the piss in that as long as it stays as banter, which it generally always does. It really goes above board the way we need to bring these into the AGM and have a chat with these. So it's all good, and I hope you all enjoy tomorrow. Didn't get too drunk watching the football. I know it's a late one, but I'll leave you, Stephen. As soon as you're on, you can sign off the podcast.
Thanks very much for that opportunity, Franny. I appreciate it. I'll give myself a new 3-year contract for that. But no, as Gav said there, that we understand, we appreciate.
Didn't win another award, so fuck his wankers.
What's that about? Where's our award? No, but genuinely, that we are trying to get back to a food schedule, but there's a lot of things going on. Come to Christmas, people are doing houses and things of that nature. So, a lot of time being consumed, but we will try be live at least twice next week. We'll let you know whether if it's Monday or Wednesday or Monday and Friday. We'll get that out in the social media platforms. But let's hope we'll have a great game tomorrow. And until next time, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.